That I didn't realize that I'm on a different setup today, ladies and gentlemen. Different screen, different microphone. So I didn't realize I had my mute button pushed. Hello.
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Jamie?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. All right. Well, how's it going, buddy? You're back in your motherland in Texas, huh?
We are.
Yeah.
I will try to make sure my screen looks nice and crisp for Mike. But I am on a travel setup. But I think everything should come through just fine. Doing a little traveling before the summer comes to an end. Yes. So I'm in the hot lands of Texas.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, welcome to Texas, and welcome everybody to my desktop, and thank you for showing up today. It's kind of a very lackluster day, but we're gonna have some stuff to show you today that I think you will be happy with. So before we move on to anything, let's go over our disclaimer. Make the lawyers happy. Once again, guys, this is for educational purposes only. Nothing that you see in here should be construed as investment advice. If that's what you're seeking, please look for an RIA or a registered broker, somebody who's actually licensed to give you that information. But we got some cool stuff, and we are very proud of it, which will take us to the next slide, which will talk about our 5-star support education and training here at Trade Ideas. You guys who are regular, just bear with me because we do have new people in here every day, and we really need to tell them that you're not alone with Trade Ideas. You're going to get this very powerful, intuitive software, but at the same time, we're going to back it but with just incredible training and education and support. And it all starts in the traders room. It's basically a 6.5-hour broadcast every day live, where you can look over the shoulder of our moderator, Barry Honorson, and watch him trade and use our software to find these trades. It's not just for subscribers, so everybody is welcome. So please, get in there, sign up, and take advantage of that. We also have 4 webinars a week, Monday through Thursday. You got Jamie and Steve on Monday, me and Steve on Tuesday, and Dan Merkin, our CEO, and CTO, Brad Williams, on Wednesday. And then you got, of course, the trading studio that you're in right now with me and Jamie. But tomorrow, do not forget, we have a new Friday support session. It's 3 hours from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is not just for subscribers. If you're kicking tires still and you want to come in and spend a lot of time and ask questions and get to see the product in action, please come in there. You can learn so much in there on top of these webinars that we have during the week. So please get in there. And last but not least, we want to talk to you about the one-on-one training you get when you subscribe to Trade Ideas. This is a $99 value, and when you subscribe, it is free, and it's 1 hour with myself, Jamie, or Steve, and we can just go over anything you want to. So in other words, if you get the product and it takes 2 weeks to get a training, that's actually works in your benefit, because we're going to give you a lot of resources to get you going, including that Friday webinar, support session, I should say. So learn what you can in a 2-week period, and then when you get in these one-on-one trainings, they can be very personal, very advanced, and we can also go down that path of trading strategies. So don't forget to sign up for the one-on-one when you subscribe. It is free. One last thing, we do have a Brokerage Plus product. This is our automated hookup to IB. And this is for intermediate to advanced traders. If you have strategies that you're very proud of and you want to just hook them up and go play golf, you can do that. But it is for, like I said, intermediate to advanced. So if you want more information about that, please get it at trade-ideas.com/beta. All right, let's move on. Talk about. I'm not sure where that came from, Jamie. I think that was from last week. Boy, I must have really. There we go. Let's talk about our agenda.
Might have accidentally consolidated them, yeah.
Yeah, I somehow must have double-clicked and went through the agenda. But anyway, we're going to talk about the market recap today. Very kind of lackluster, trading today. I did not see a whole lot of opportunity out there. But if it's out there, this software is going to find it, and I will show you examples of how it did today. Not much to talk about the Holly recap, but we will kind of go over it for sure. A little session I added called Did You Know? And Jamie is going to show us how, when you go to that in your advanced window config, in your own window specific filters, how to use that histogram. It's really cool. How you can use it to basically kind of call down your the number of alerts that you might be looking for, and it's an easy way to you know what, I'm not going to talk too much about it because Jamie's going to kind of be teaching me during this segment as well. But I'm going to show you 5 reasons today to sit on your hands. So and I think it's going to help these new traders who always feel like you have to come in and be trading. I'm going to show you today why you should probably just taking it easy and sit on your hands, and maybe just traded a couple of stocks or one stock. I'm going to hit on let's go. Well, I'm trying to pack a lot in here today, aren't I? Let's go fishing again. I introduced this on Tuesday, I believe. It's a new kind of alert, and I made a little change to it, so I'm going to talk about it again and talk more about maybe how to use it. Option scan, we're going to take another look at that to show you where you may have found some decent opportunity today, and not only that, but also this week. All right, and then we're going to be open to questions. So with that said, that's our agenda. I stacked it pretty deep, but I think I'm just going to kind of be hitting lightly on every topic. All right, let me get back out of this and let's pull up the spiders. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the market today, just because it was very, very slow.
And when the picture speaks 1,000 words, when you pull up the SPY, everybody will be like,
yeah.
okay,
It really does.
okay. Hey, this looks like a summer market right here.
Yeah, I mean it's you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and just talk about the 5 reasons why I'm talking about the market. It just kind of goes hand in hand with looking at the spiders today, looking at the overall market, looking at the relative volume being kind of low. You can see we're in a very tight range here. I talked about this, I think, even last week, kind of in this range, and here we still sit. Going in, and this is mostly for new traders, you traders who have been around for a while. You've heard this before, but some of the newer traders, a lot of people feel like this is my job now. I have to be doing something. I have to be trading, and one of the reasons I wouldn't. And when you have a market like we have right now, first of all, you got to ask yourself, okay, what time of the year is it? It's middle of the summer. Okay, it's historically the most deadest part of the trading is when you start getting in August. It really dies off, and the further we get into August, the worse it gets. So you're in the middle of summer. Okay, volumes are down. Okay, you got jobs report tomorrow morning. Another reason, anytime you're going into a jobs report, everybody's just kind of positioning themselves. There's no real big moves. It's just not a whole lot going on. The volume is very, very light. I mentioned that. Middle of summer, jobs report, volume is really light. And the technicals, look at the technicals. They're telling you not to do anything as far as the big picture goes. Right in the middle of the range, there's the spiders. Let's take a look at the Qs. Pretty much the same thing. And once again, it kind of falling back down below this ledge again in the Qs. So just not seeing, that's the high breakout that it took out, and now it's just kind of vacillating back and forth through this line. So the technicals are telling you not to do a whole lot. Now, this is in the grand scheme of things. I'm not telling you just absolutely do not trade and do anything, but these are the days you want to keep it really light. These are the days you do not want to risk losing a lot of money, okay, because there's just very little opportunity out there. Okay, and another one, and we're going to be moving on to that right now, is Holly was very, very quiet today. Okay, Holly looks for setups. Holly looks for opportunity based on all of her back testing and optimizing the night before. She had 5 trades today. It's very, very light for Holly. So, when artificial intelligence, back testing, statistical analysis is telling you, hey, you might want to sit on your hands, and it's backed up by the other 4 reasons I gave you. Just learn to take that to heart, because I know what it feels like because I basically traded for a living for 20 years. So I know what it feels like to be thinking, oh man, this is my job. I got to do something. I got to find. I can't sit here. But you have to learn to suppress that feeling and do what's wise, and that's trade a lot less. So Jamie, I'll let you talk about, I'll pass it over to you, and we'll let you talk about how quiet Holly was today.
Absolutely. Pass me the baton, sir.
All righty. I will do that. Did you get it?
Okay, yes, and please ignore my messy screen here and let me get Holly off my other monitor. Can you see okay, Andy?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and hopefully Mike can see.
Well, let's see. I take that back and see.
You tell me if you can see.
I can see. It just, we have a black space in the upper portion of for about 2 inches. I don't know if it's just your resolution or what.
Well, I'm on normal resolution on this monitor. So are you talking about up here in the chart?
Yeah, you see. Yeah, now I got your cursor 2 inches above your chart right now in some black area.
Okay, so this is black up here. Can you see Holly?
I can see Holly. I can't see Holly. So I think is that if I'm not sure the charts look a little scrunched, but that's okay.
Well, can you see this whole chart here, the intraday? If I bring it down a little bit.
Well, try bringing it up and see taking it higher. Yeah, I think it's just a resolution. I think we're okay though, Jamie. I think for some reason the chart is really elongated, and we're missing the top portion for some reason. And
that's odd, yeah.
That is. I've never seen you when you were at home do this. But
well,
you know what?
You know what? Give me 1 second here. Let me just try something here.
We have time.
Because I'm on 1920 by 1080, but let me take it down a notch, and you tell me if that makes anything better. How about now?
Let's see. It's trying to come in here. No, it looked like it did.
Still the same, huh?
No, but you know what? It's not that big of a deal. Well, you know what? We can work on this. We'll work on this if you're there. If you next week or
Okay. Was this legible now? I mean, from what you're seeing right now.
No, it's totally legible. Yeah. It's always been legible. Yeah.
All right. Sorry for the technical glitches, ladies and gentlemen. Everything appears to be in order, but sometimes GoToWebinar's a little finicky. We'll figure it out. All right. So here you can see Holly. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades out of 3 strategies, So as Andy was saying earlier, if the statistical model that has very precise traps is not triggering anything, well, that just simply means there's less game in the forest today. Matter of fact, there's hardly any. Maybe, from a practical standpoint, it was one of those days where you didn't bag anything. But guess what? Sometimes that's okay. So usually there's a lot of trade arounds to look at, or some risk-ons. Really, there's only one today, in my opinion, the HLF trade, and we can see the entry point right here. And of course, even if you stayed in this one, it wasn't what we like to call pain-free. You're in the money, elation. Now you're flat and down and almost to a stop out, right? And this is very indicative of whether it's a Holly play or some other type of, continuation play that had a little burst of volume and it gets a little bit of legs, but it just doesn't have enough potential energy to sustain a move. In other words, you step on the gas, you're going to go a little bit, but there's not enough fuel in the tank for the sustained move. And this is what you have, whether it was a Holly trade or, a litany of other trades today that I could point out. But in any case, this is good information because once again, we can already kind of feel it's a slow day. And when we see that stat model having a hard time, well, today Holly's that canary that's going, you know what, I'm kind of feeling sick. I might just keel over and die here. So you need to be very careful. Hold on one sec, ladies and gents. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. I had a
No
renegade phone
problem.
I had to take care of there, but I've silenced it. So in any case, getting back to the point, Holly was just emulating what a lot of other human beings were saying today, and that's just that pickings were pretty thin today. But before we, stop talking about Holly, there is a couple little things that I've been liking to point out here as of late. Now, I was in the air all day yesterday, so I didn't even check out what the max profit column looked like yesterday. But today, or excuse me, day before yesterday and the day before, we were seeing the same types of activity, or same values, I should say, in this max profit column here. And what we're looking at here is in the risk off, which is Holly's most conservative mode today, just simply her obeying her rules. Look at the max profit. Now, SUMR, and of course, APTI right in the beginning, and this little wick here showed profitability, but it obviously did not stay up there for very long. So not to pick the charts apart, but the values here, right? Just the fact that these trades are in the money from the entry point, and then you're faced with the decision on what to do with them, right? Andy and I were talking, waxing nostalgic about the old days. And I was telling him about one of the firms that we used to trade for probably around 2003. They came up with this system, right? And if you wanted to participate in it, then you signed up and you signed your life away, and they made sure they didn't have any liability. But the bottom line is this: what that system would do is it would find arb trades, execute the trade, and people that were signed up for that service, you're sitting there, and of course you had to be an active trader. You're sitting there, all of a sudden a position pops up on your blotter that's profitable. Then all you had to do was decide what to do with it. Well, do I just want to pop out now, or do I want to try to milk it for more? And so, needless to say, that program was in operation for all of about 2 months. And then something went wrong and it quit working. But the reason I'm telling you guys that story is that this is reminding me of that system, right? So obviously live trades aren't popping onto your blotter, but Holly is that trader that's showing us, hey, you might want to look at this. And if we, approach this from the statistical model, let's see, with Tuesday and Monday, there was a lot bigger trade count. The smaller trade count today, and I even tweeted it out sometime last week. I'm like, on any given day, what are the odds that you are going to pile into 9 long trades on a day where the market was kind of going down all day, and have a blotter that shows you that information? Look, on a down day, I still got into 9 longs, and although they didn't all go like gangbusters, you were in the money for a little bit, right? So those are some strong numbers, right? And I'm not saying that it's going to look like this every day. We'll find out, as I continue to track this column. But it just goes to show you that there are metrics that I haven't focused on. There are metrics that Andy hasn't focused on. But one thing the software does is it keeps us engaged, and it makes the learning process an adventure, right? So just kind of wanted to share that with you guys. Really, that's pretty much all there is to talk about with Holly today. We had some few winners, few losers, up 16 cents on risk off, and if you held all day, down 44 cents.
Nope. It was a pretty quiet day for Holly and the market, for sure.
So I'm just going to look at the question panel here before I move on to the next topic, see if anybody had any questions about Holly. I see Jordan was asking a question. How do you pick the stocks to invest in that day? And now, if that's Holly related, well, that's a good question, Jordan. And typically we go over the methodology in interacting with Holly, not only how to make sense of the data that she's spitting out, but to kind of give people an idea of how to interact with her. Today's just not the best example because we didn't have a lot of them that continued, but I will point this out before we proceed to the next topic here, and that is everything that comes out of Holly is statistically weighted, right? And you're going to be hard pressed to find another product that's delivering statistically weighted entries to you. That's a huge milestone. People are starting to wake up to it. You know, we just got what's the award that we just got, Andy? The red herring.
Heron.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, we just got picked as one of the best scanners on the market again. You know, we won the Benzinga Awards a couple of years ago, and here we are winning another award. So, you know, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to notice that, hey, you're telling me anything that comes out of this is, you know, for example, on support, came into the session 74.4%, spit out one trade. This one slightly overperformed today because it was a one-off. But wake up call, which is one of the most profitable strategies, you know, it underperformed today. So even digging down a little bit deeper, pulling that microscope out and looking even deeper, you know, when you have wake up call, that's coming in at 49.1%, but it has a good profit factor and has been one of the best earners so far. When you see it go 0 for 3, that's also like this chart going, well, I'm a highly advanced model and I'm struggling. Of course, it's just a subsection or a subpart of the whole game, the wake-up call strategy. So I could go on and on and on about how to engage with Holly, but that's something that you just have to see over and over by attending the webinars, and just like any other process. At first, you're like, well, how in the world do I know which trade to pay attention to? Well, the short answer is you pay attention to all of them. And then as you attend these webinars and hear us talk about how to interact with specific trades, of which there's just not enough to go over today, then you know, over time, depending on your aptitude, might take a couple of weeks, might take a couple of months, but in the end, just by seeing this movie every day unfold that Holly produces, then we learn how to interact with her. Okay, so let's do this. Let's talk about, did you know, what Andy was talking about earlier. And of course, I love it when we have these conversations and then the information that is kind of uncovered yields credibility to other hypotheses I've had in the past. And of course, maybe you've had a training session with me, maybe not. Maybe if you did have that training session with me, I said something to the effect of, well, I like volume, right? There's a lot of different ways to address volume. But volume is really like the wind or water. Just because the volume's there doesn't necessarily mean the move is going to occur. Like a ship out at sea, if there's just a little bit of wind, well, yeah, there's wind, but is there enough to move the whole ship, right? So volume is kind of a slippery slope. But if we apply it to the right pattern at the right time, once again, focusing on the timing aspect of trading, well, then we might have something that works really well. So the point I'm trying to make here is what I also say in a lot of my sessions is that on any given day, there's only going to be, you know, I don't want to box myself into a corner here, and just keep in mind these are just estimates. And let's say on any given day, 15 to a little over 20% of all the stocks in the market will probably have some nice volume. Whether you want to call it high volume, whether you want to call it institutional volume, it's fine. Bottom line is it's volume, right? And people always say, well, that's got to be institutional volume. Well, probably it is. But then if you're a small stock trader, what about the stock that's under $5 doing monster volume? Is that institutional volume? Does it really matter? Probably not. But the bottom line is this: if 15 to 20% of all stocks in the market are where the volume is, and the rest are just going to be what I like to call just kind of doing the zombie thing. So even the big caps, if there's no institutional volume, algo gets put on the stock to make the market. That stock's going to do normal, slightly above, slightly below. Now, what in the hell, what's Jamie getting at here? What's the point? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of examples here. first, one that everybody's familiar with, just to kind of get the wheels turning here, right? And then we'll come back to the volume issue. So if we pick the gap filter here and we say add filter, notice every time you add a filter, it also has its little show me icon. So I just clicked on the show me icon here. And then we have different tabs to explore. Depending on the filter, you might have 1 or 2 tabs. This one we have 4. Now, what we're going to focus on today is the histogram tab, because here we are in histogram. We have no values plugged into the min or the max side. We've got a count of 7,100 tradable stocks in the universe after all the calculations, and the database was updated after yesterday's session. Okay, great. 7,100 stocks. Now, if we were targeting stocks that had gapped up 3% or more, oh, wow. Out of 7,000 some odd stocks, only 165 gapped up 3% or higher. No big deal. I mean, that's kind of expected. If we take it down to 2, we get a lot more, 363, and 1, we get even more, right? Now, I just kind of wanted to get you guys used to seeing the conduit here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull up ye old relative volume. And there she is, so we're going to add it. Okay. So notice this one only has 2, but it does have the histogram. There's our entirety of tradable stocks today. And going on the premise, okay, well, what's a good relative volume number? We know 1 is normal. So, you know, if we're going to look at stocks doing high volume, I'd say we at least need to start at 2. So 7,100 turns into 1,057. So once again, 10% is 710, so 20% would be a little over 1,400. So less than that today, right? So pretty interesting stuff. Out of 7,000 stocks, 10% is 700, so 70, you know, just slightly below, you know, 20% would be 1,400. So what are we at? I'm just going to use a rough estimate of 1,500, 15%. Sound right? There's my math off.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's accurate. So that confirms what I say all the time, right? Take it up to 3, only 358. So see, a stock doing 2 times its normal volume on relative, there you have it. So look how simple that is, you know, because everybody has theories, right? But when you start applying real world statistics to kind of reinforce those theories, it's kind of nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we just did this exercise today. We were talking about this, and I'm like, well, you know what I always say, Andy, you know, about the 10 to 15, 10, anywhere between 10 and 20% of all stocks, that's where the action is. And of course, this immediately confirms that. And of course, the day was slower than normal, so it's nowhere near 20%, right? It's closer to the 15% level. And so, you know, once again, this is just 1 or 2 filters that we've looked at. You know, there are a lot that I've never even explored using that feature. So let's just.
Jamie, it appears to me that this would be a really great way, like I said earlier, to kind of cull down your. So if in other words, if you have an alert or a top list and you're just getting too many in there, too many symbols are coming in, this would be a simple way for you to go and kind of minimize the number of alerts you're going to get just by kind of using this little simple function here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay, and see, I pulled up our other volume filter. Volume today is a percentage, where 100 is normal, right? 7,100 stocks. Okay, how many were 200% today? Less than 10%,
Yep.
right? And of course, relative volume and this filter are going to be a little bit different, you know, because they're looking at different, you know, they're compiling the volume data in different ways, right? This is just a percentage. So we can see here that there were 689 stocks that actually finished the day doing 200% of normal volume. You know, where
Mm-hmm.
relative volume, you know, it's a little dicey sometimes. I like it as a metric, but it's very slow to change, right?
Sure.
The volume really, you know, it can shoot up, and if the volume comes out of a stock, it takes a lot longer for it to adjust. But that's why you have the freedom here. Once you build a window, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to put relative volume as a column. I'm going to put volume as a percentage as a column. Before too long, I'll figure out which one I like, or if I like both of them being up
Mm-hmm.
there, right?
Yep.
Just new ways to, you know, to ferret out the information, kind of like this is an informational Easter egg hunt, right? You never know what you're going to find until you start looking.
And what is that drop-down box here where it says market in general? My exchanges, all my filters. Huh.
Right. So interesting. What if I click it on all my filters? What that means now, and I'll back out of here, is, and then we'll go back in. This is the entire filter set here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what that all my filters, this was just showing us, now I got to get back over there. This was just showing us with this filter implemented alone. If we just added this filter, okay, get back over here. There we go. Okay, so if we're just talking about this filter alone, that would reduce it. Just this filter alone would reduce the market down to that many stocks.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're using the entire filter complement that we see here, in other words, there were only 78 stocks that came through turbo brakes up today.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Interesting.
And guess what? I bet all of them were part, you know, they were definitely coming through in this sample too, but once we get more specific and put all the filters on there, then we only got that small amount, right? And you know what? That's cool too, because out of 689 stocks that were doing really high volume, if you're watching this scan, which just happens to be the 5.4 billion market cap of Turbo Breaks Up, you would have only had 78 stocks come through there today. Now I say only 78. That's not saying we're taking 78 trades, but hey, you know as well as I do, sometimes you have to scan through that many symbols just to find 2 trades, or if even one on the right day, right? One that meets all the, because just because it meets the filter criteria and it comes through the alert window, does that mean we're going to trade it? No, because this all comes back down to the fact that this is a window. It's not a super secret strategy. It's just a high quality information stream. And see, going back to Andy and I's tenure in the business, I didn't even know what a high quality information stream was when, you know, literally I was sitting there banging out 1 million shares, 500,000 shares a day, you know, before they took SOs away from us. You know, we were just playing that order flow, right? But now, you know, if you don't adapt, you perish in just about every field out there. I know the literary people say publish or perish. Well, it's the same thing here, right? If you're not constantly tweaking your tickers and you're not constantly seeking out this knowledge, things go stale, right? So, you know, I'm gonna butcher this quote here, but I think at the age of 87, Leonardo da Vinci said, "I'm still learning," right? And therein lies the key. With trading, we can never rest on our laurels, because as soon as you do, boom, things stop working. You know, the mindset is crucial. So, you know, it's just like keeping in shape, right? You want to keep the body in shape? Well, you better do some exercise, because doing it once a month probably is not going to hack it, right? Not even 2 times a month. Now, there are a lot of studies out to say vigorous exercise even once a week does good, and I believe that. Because that's about how many times I like to work out in a week. So I really want to believe that. But in any case, you know, when it comes to trading, you know, if we're just kind of looking at things once a week, good luck, right? I mean, everybody out there probably looks at things on a daily basis. You look at things during the market. When the market closes, you prepare your list, and before you, you know, say goodbye to the monitors for the end of the night, you're prepared for the next day.
Mm. All right. Well, good stuff, Jamie. I'm glad
Yeah.
we went over that today. That was a good way to start. Did you know that was be a hard one to top.
All right, so let's take a look at the time here, Andy. Is it time for the
Yeah, I
go
think so.
fishing?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think
All right.
so.
Coming
Well,
at you.
all righty. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about go fishing, and the reason I did is because I noticed today. Let me squeeze this in so I can get the 15-minute chart in here. I noticed rig this morning. I had my eye on rig, and the reason I did is because it had earnings, and the earnings were not as bad as people expected. So, and you had a stock here that has been pretty much beaten up. And if I even go further back in time, you'll see it's even beaten up more. But just over the last, 8 months, basically a haircut in half all the way from the 16 level down to like the $8 level. So basically a 50% haircut. But it was setting up. It was setting up like I told you about on the daily, where you have a stock that's trying to bottom out, a couple of bottoming tails here, kind of a double bottom, and then just kind of going sideways. And then coming into today, it had a nice little push above this $9 range, and that's the area I was looking at. Had a nice run. Unfortunately, oil kind of rolled over and fell out of bed later, or about midday, and it brought down rig with it. It's going to follow the oil sector, but nonetheless had a nice little move. And I was wondering, I said, man, this didn't come through my let's go fishing. So let me pull it up. Easy way to do that, just go to my cloud in your channel bar and start typing. And there it is. So let's go fishing, and let me load. And really the only one that came through here, let me go to history and go to today, which was not a bad one. This HCZO started coming through, and I had a decent move. Came through, broke out of this top right here, 1594, and motored up all the way to like 1665. So some nice little breaking above that range. That's what's great about when you have these alerts now. Holly will point out to you, and so you really don't need to run the description that, hey, there's the next level of resistance, and it poked right through it this morning, came back down, and kind of went back to high before selling off at the end of the day. But nonetheless, this came through there, but it was the only one. And I said, you know what, I would like to see more stocks coming through there. And I know what it was. I didn't even have to pull it up to know, because I had my 20-day range in here, position in 20-day range, because I kind of wanted to see stocks that were kind of falling out of their 20-day range but improving in their 10-day range. That's why I have position in 10-day range at 98%. But my position in 20-day range could not be any more than 50. So what I did is I went ahead and just took that out, because I do not want to miss setups like rig. And just simply by doing that and hitting OK and then running today, this is how you just learn to work with your configurations to get things that you want. And you'll see that rig, came through here beautifully today at basically 902, right where it should. And if we take a look at it, this is where the alert went off at 902 and had a nice move above that and moved higher. So and now is putting in a base. That's what I'm looking for in the strategy. But you have to keep in mind that it's still in a downtrend. Even though it's putting in a base, it's still in a very long-term downtrend. And keep that in mind when you're looking at these, because you're going to see some ones that come through here, like this GameStop this morning. Let's put it up. Now this one looks good. It has potential. It might not go, and there's a good chance it's not going to go. Remember, it's in a downtrend, and the trend is your friend. So the bears are really not being shaken right here. And you can see right here that it actually went up and took out this 5-day high. Probably suckered some people in there. You can see the line there. There's the resistance, and did not follow through. Something like this, I'm probably more apt to look at this whole number at 22, put a price alert right there, maybe call it my fishing in my notes here, and mark it up. You see Steve and Jamie do this all the time when they're looking at the trend change lubricant. This is very similar to the trend change lubricant now that I've taken out that 20-day range filter. And also, what else do you notice here in game as it's trying to break through this level? Look at the volume in the 5-minute, 44% of normal. Look at the relative volume for the day. So long move to get there, no volume behind it, you know, as when it got there. It's like the, you know, it's like the marathon runner that, you know, gets over the finish line. He's just out of gas. He can't go any further and he collapses, you know. Maybe this will come back and, you know, drink some Gatorade, you know, rest for a while, and then try it again and try to assault that line again and get through, and maybe even take out this line. But you have to be cautious when you're playing these things. And I always recommend obeying your stop if you play them. Small size, there's no reason to get greedy on something like this, because you are kind of, you know, bottom fishing. But look at the volume in rig compared to the volume in this GameStop. So notice the volume, and then this could be very effective. But I wanted to bring this to your attention today. Let's see, FL came through here today. Let's take a look at it. Okay, this has potential. Okay, it's not there yet, but it's trying. You know, I want to be alerted before it goes through, because I know I have the patience, okay, not to jump on this until I have conviction that it's going to move higher. Now, if it gets above this range right here, maybe this level right here, or if I see it maybe taking out this high right here with some volume, okay, it will go off again in my alerts once it gets back up here, when it starts hitting new highs and breaking out of this 10-day range again. So you'll see them come through over and over, but look for volume, look for levels, you know, even though I have it on a 10-day, try to see it clearing a 20-day range and maybe potentially breaking a trend. Costco was a real good example the other day. If you look at Costco right here, same thing. It was in this downtrend, not doing anything, and then wham, it got above this level right here and continued higher. Of course, today sold off, but a nice 3-day move there before it did, you know, 6-7% move before it did. So that's kind of what you're looking for. All right, so I wanted to, I will drop this in. Let me put it back on real time. For those of you who are going to be watching the video later and watching it right now at home and it's night, all you have to do is do what I did right there. Just take out that 20-day filter that filter that I showed you.
And Andy, we
all
were
right,
getting,
so let me,
of course, we were getting requests that you drop that in. And then also
right.
Christopher was asking if you wouldn't mind dropping in the trend change lubricant top list as well.
Okay, for sure. I will do that. Okay, first comes the Let's Go Fishing. I will label it just fishing. And there you go. And the trend change. Okay, I have the trend change pro. Is that the one you want, Christopher? Was it Christopher?
Yes.
All righty.
I believe that is.
All righty. We will share and save. And let's call it trend and drop that in there. All right. Real quick, guys, I kind of want to show you this option scan. I want to revisit this when this is an option scan tied into earnings. In other words, I'm looking for stocks that are doing abnormal volume, at least basically 1.5 times normal volume to appear in here. In most cases, they're doing a lot more than that, but that's all they have to do to make the top list. Because I have columns that will show me relative volume, 5-minute volume, and let's put it on today. Let's see, use historical data. I like to use 9 o'clock in the morning because that's when I like to look at this. So let's go today, the 3rd, and hit OK.
And that's 30 minutes
see what
after
was coming.
open, correct?
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for doing that. I'm on Central Time, so this is 30 minutes after the open. So I'm trying to teach people to be patient, not to rush and jump in. I see so many new traders getting chopped to pieces trying to trade in the first 15 or 20 minutes of the day. And show you how a lot of times these stocks are going to move anyway. They move so fast in the first 5 minutes, they don't really give you a chance, except if you're wrong. Then they'll give you a chance and they'll cut your head off. But anyway, what I want to show you is how when you get this confirmation of huge volume and what to look for and how you can get a couple of day moves, how you don't have to be in a hurry to jump in and scalp 20 or 30 cents, how you can slow things down, play small size, and get a big move. So if I'm looking at this in the morning and it's color coded where you can see the dark green ones are going to be up mostly, okay, and then you're going to have the light green, and then of course you're going to go to the ones that are down, which starts out at pink and then turns a darker color red. So I'm focused on the ones that are in dark green because a lot of people might say, gosh, those are gone too far, you know, I don't want to chase those. But look at where the volume is associated with these ones that are up big. Look at the 5-minute volume. Okay, look at the relative volume on these ones that are dark. Okay, you did have one here in Win that was pretty good. I have to take a look to see if that one is how it performed today. But look at this SEDG, and what I do is I just kind of scroll through these and looking, you know, for opportunity. This looked pretty good this morning, and it may have some, you know, some further move up. I may keep an eye on this one. The alert went off at 7:60, not alert, I should say, in my top list after 30 minutes after the open. The price was 769, which it pretty much closed out. It had some extra move. You still had a little alpha there all the way up to 791 or 792. But take a look at this SEDG. Now, just explosive. Okay, I'm sorry, that wasn't the one. It was stamped today. This one is too. I mean, it basically was 27.75. The move happened real early. You can see here in the first opening minutes of the day, okay, there was your move, and then it just kind of slops sideways. But this is a stock that's at all-time highs. It's doing huge volume today, 4.3 million shares. Relative volume this morning was 19. Yeah, so this is where you can get extra day moves, and I'm going to show you some extra day moves here in a minute by going back and showing you the same setups on Tuesday.
Trade as well.
Just beautiful one. And this one actually gave you time because you were patient and didn't chase that first bar. And by the time it came in here 30 minutes after the open, it's at 191.60. So basically on this pullback here, okay, and then look at that continuation move. And more than likely, guys, this probably is going to have a few more days, you know, to it. Anytime you get that kind of momentum, it's like a freight train. It's just hard to stop. But you know, one I'm going to point out to, which has been in the doghouse for a long time, to keep your eye on it, because a lot of times after earnings, this thing, well, most of the time over the last few years, it would just get killed after earnings. But look at today, came out doing huge volume, huge option volume, and closed pretty close to the top of the day. What I would do would go right here and set a price alert at that high, so you would be notified, you know, and just maybe call it, you know, earnings play / options. And so you'll have a little alert in here where you'll be notified. But anyway, let's go back. What I want to do is go back to Tuesday. Monday, I'm not going to go back to Monday because there's just not a lot of earnings on Monday morning. And you don't have any on Friday afternoon. So I'm just going to go back and go to Tuesday. And Tuesday was the 1st, and hit OK. And let's see what the top dog was on this one. All right, LL, look at the volume. All right, look at the huge option volume, look at the relative volume, just volume everywhere. You can look right here, position in year range. Okay, it's on the year range. So let's just 3206. And look at there, it got as high as 30, almost 37 from 3206, and it looks like it may be potentially building a flag pattern. It may even go higher than that. All right, let's just check out Wednesday before we call it a day here. See what we're looking for. Let's go to Wednesday and see what our top dog was on that day. This would be yesterday. And FMC, I like the ones that are up, the darker green ones. They're up more on the day for a reason. Aluminum, 52-week high. This one looks like it has potential. And let me click on it. I'm sorry, guys. My system really slows down when I'm performing. So 83.72, it's about where it went off. So there's still potential here for a move higher. Aluminum, 194.27 from yesterday, and $4 higher, and looking to potentially do a go, pause, go there. That's one to watch for tomorrow. If it takes out that double high right there, it's continued momentum. Here's another one, Court, doing huge 5-minute volume, good relative volume, up 13% change from the close. And this was at 13.92 yesterday, and now it's at 14.20 and moved a little bit higher. So there's another one that's just continued motion. The point I'm making is, don't be afraid when you see these things gapping, and if they're still doing huge volume and options are coming in, there could be 3 or 4 days of continued moves. NVIDIA was a good poster child for this. Real quick, if you pull up NVIDIA, you're going to see here on the daily, and it was right here. NVIDIA was appearing very much like these other ones right here on this day right here. Gap and go, huge volume. Darn, I missed it. Did you? If you'd have bought it this day, look at that, 120 or 115 all the way to 166. So you can get continued momentum out of these. So do not be afraid of them. If you're wrong, obviously
Andy,
you want to get out, but that's things to keep an eye on. Mm-hmm.
If I could just interject there, the way what you just laid out there, hey, I missed it. No, there was still plenty of opportunity, thus the running stock. And that's interesting because, me, you, everybody that's over here back testing a lot, will notice that. You'll have a strategy that looks okay, but then when you go to the optimization tab and kind of isolate, okay, which stocks have performed the best, and especially if it's a momentum type scan, a lot of the times what you'll find is the top 10 or 20 performing stocks, you can see how many times they would have been triggered in the period that you're back testing. So let's say if it's 30 trading days, you might notice that the top 10 stocks have all come through not just once, but sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times in that period. Mm-hmm. So when you start stumbling onto data like that, maybe you didn't intend to stumble onto that. But once again, that's just when you're having an adventure in the information forest. Sometimes you might find something that you didn't even intend to find, but you found it because you were going down another path that you thought was going to lead you to another destination. Well, guess what? This information I almost like better than the information I was out to find in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. So once again, a lot of parallels between what Andy's talking about and things that I've actually seen, right? Just like the STMP. Andy's got this great high quality scan produced stump STMP. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what else came across STMP today? I'll give you a wild, crazy guess. It starts with turbo. But once again, lots of different ways to slice and dice the data. And when you see that happening, it's a good sign.
Mm-hmm. And this is not the only scanner we're going to find. Obviously, if you're using any type of volume scanner with, like he said, his coming across his turbo, here's an up gappers where you can find stocks that are gapping up, and obviously the 3 of those were on that this morning. So you can find that opportunity. I like to use this during earnings, but I also have one that doesn't necessarily have to be during the earnings. I mentioned the other day, guys, when Target came out, and it came across this option scan right here on this day right here where they kind of raised second quarter guidance. I said, you know what, keep an eye on that. This is kind of coming out of a bottom, big downtrend, and then it came in, had huge options. I mean, yeah, if you're looking at the chart, it's not one you want to get real aggressive on, but it was, after earnings, I wasn't sure. It was actually up. They raised their second quarter guidance, so it wasn't earnings. But look at that continuation move after. So just keep in mind, when you see movement associated with big volume, a lot of time this option volume are not people looking to jump in and get out for a 20 or 30% scalp. A lot of these options buyers are looking for longer term moves. But all right, that's going to get it today. For today, I think I'm going to bring in Scott to walk us out of here. What's the best scan for? I like this extreme volume. High-low pro is a good momentum one for me. I don't have time to keep dropping them in there, guys. We got to get out of here. But if you want to send me, Robert, an email, just send it to info@trade-ideas.com, and I'll send you a PDF of all of our favorite scans. It's great to hear, Christopher. Good job. All right, Scott, if you want to come in here, let me pull back up the slides here for you.
Sure, thank you.
All righty.
Yeah, thank you all for attending. Everyone remember that we do have a podcast, and those episodes come out on Fridays, just after the market. So to become a subscriber, go to your favorite podcast application and search for Trade Ideas Podcast and add us to your subscriptions. That way you get the next episode in your inbox. You can also download any of the previous ones, and there are some interesting ones in there to check out. We have a code for you to save 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. Go ahead and use Sunrise, all caps, just like you see it here, and also is on the handout. You can get the handout by going to the handouts panel, expanding that little section and just clicking on that download link. And then you get that handout. It's got the contact information, promo code, all this good stuff. Thanks, everyone, for attending. We'll get the recording up later tonight or tomorrow. And if you have any questions, contact info@trade-ideas.com. You can also follow Jamie Hodge on Twitter @QuantBot, or Steve Gomez is @TodayTrader, Dan Merkin's Trade Ideas 1. Follow us on Facebook, Trade Ideas Pro is the handle there. Any questions, though, the info@trade-ideas.com is the best place. Thanks, Andy and Jamie. Have a good one. We'll see some of you all right. Support session Friday morning.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Jamie and Scott. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
Thanks for popping in. Bye-bye.